We are here and we are strong. Let's be counted as we move on. Make a difference, change lives as we tell our different stories. We are capable, beautiful. We are born to do great things. We're unstoppable, incredible, 'cause we're differently abled, differently.
Warren Buffett says someone is sitting in the shade because someone planted a tree a long time ago. As an individual, are you doing something that will make the lives of the future generation less difficult? As a society, are you making any life decisions that will make the future generations to be proud to belong? Well, folks, it is never too late, so you can start now. My name is Jen Theory. Welcome to Abled Differently.
We're differently abled, differently.
Acorn Special tutorial, in conjunction with the National Council for Persons with Disabilities, had a registration exercise. Parents and caregivers took the opportunity that was brought closer to their homes to ensure they registered their children. Take a look.
Services like education assistance for persons with disabilities, whereby we help to pay for them school fees from primary level up to secondary, then to university, other tertiary colleges like TVET institutions. We really encourage them to undergo education because people with disabilities used to be neglected. These people are not going to school. They were being spared education for the finances and other resources to be used for their brothers and sisters without disabilities. So we've come in because disability is very expensive, to caution parents and their guardians from this expenses by providing educational support. We also do registration for persons with disabilities. We do it in the office as daily routine in our daily running of our operations, but we also go to the field to assist them because of one thing, especially for medical assessment. For you to be registered as a person with disability, you need to be assessed by medical doctors for them to qualify you as a person with disability and ascertain your type of disability you're having. So it is a critical thing. But in Nairobi, you need to have like 1,000 shillings in every facility for you to be assessed, which is expensive for persons with disabilities. Normally, when you walk to a hospital facility, you will pay for a card. Then treatment is very cheap. I don't think anyone pays over 500 shillings. Then you walk home and maybe you're given drugs. But for medical assessment, you are not being given any drug. You are not being assessed for any ailment. It's just to ascertain your type of disability you're having and to qualify it whether it is a disability or it is sickness.
To ensure full implementation of these policies, non-governmental institutions and well-wishers have come to ensure full implementation of these policies.
We are having a registration drive for children and persons, even adults. We have some adults with disabilities and special needs. So we invited the National Council for Persons with Disabilities and the medics from Mama Lucy, Ministry of Education also, to come in and support us in this registration. So as we sit, we have different stations. And then my main goal initially was to ensure that all the students at Acorn are registered with the National Council. And then we realized that that's been a little bit selfish, and since we are able to mobilize the personnel to come here, why don't we invite other parents? Because parents are really struggling when it comes to the registration.
When we go to the field, we mostly target those areas that people are crying a lot as they cannot afford the 1,000. So we pay the medical persons ourselves, or if we get an organization, so they support the medical persons to come to the ground to assess people. It becomes free, it is cheap, in that they will not incur a lot of expenses in terms of transport as we are going to their place. So it is cheap for them, it is accessible to them.
Acorn Special tutorials gave an opportunity for parents and caregivers to register their children with the National Council.
The reason I thought about this was because a lot of my children are not registered, including my own daughter. So there's always that fear that we have to go to the hospital to get a medical report, to get the child registered, and this is not the right time to take children to hospital. So we sat together with the parents and they requested, could we do something? And it made sense. Can we now get the National Council to come in and the teachers to come in and the teachers to come and the assessors to come in, so that now we can be able to register our children.
There have been some few opportunities to register, but some have not been in a position to register her. There was like about 3 years ago, I could have registered her, but I traveled out of town. So, and then there have been also there was a recent opportunity for a whole week, but I didn't manage because of work responsibilities. Today I'm here because I've taken the day off from work, so it's working for me.
So we have the 2 passport size photographs, we have the medical report, we have parents' ID, copy of the parents' ID, and a copy of the child's birth certificate. Those things are there, that is what is required.
Evelyn Chege, mother to Serena Karanja, applauded this exercise.
I am not aware of all the benefits. I'll also learn along the way, but I know that the government supports the people with disabilities, and there are programs coming up, and we are having a lot of exposure for people with disabilities. So we would like to, for instance, when she's older, we would like to maybe get her tax relief. Hopefully she'll be working, so she can get some tax relief. She can get a car without paying duty. So those are the few benefits that I know of. When we have Serena registered as a member of the National Council for People with Disabilities, I expect we'll be receiving communication from the council on issues that affect people living with disabilities and their caregivers. So we hope to benefit from the information and to also give our feedback when we are called upon, so that we can improve conditions for Serena and others who live with disabilities, and for ourselves as the caregivers.
Makatwa Musyoki, the coordinator for disability services in Nairobi County, says that NCPWD disability card will go a long way in opening opportunities for persons with disabilities.
After acquiring a card, it is an opening to other opportunities, in that you can go for tax exemption if you are doing business or you are employed, such that we can process for you in conjunction with KRA and the Ministry of Health together, as we form a committee for assessment for these people to be approved for tax exemption. Then maybe you want to import stuff for use by persons with disabilities, like a vehicle for your own use, not for business. So we help you to import it duty-free, or other items for use by institutions of persons with disabilities or their own use. We help them to waive on the KRA taxation. If it is application for our services like education, economic empowerment, tools of trade, assistive devices, or networking for employment, or maybe you are seeking legal services. We have legal services for persons with disabilities. the registration. We will help you to maybe negotiate for other issues. Some people need maybe to be understood in the society. Maybe like for today, we have a lot of bipolar cases. We have a lot of mental issues in the working force. So you will get like some people may just wake up and tell the HR, I don't want to work. Simply because this person is having mental issues. And for that day, he feels like he no longer wants the job. But tomorrow it's different. So this person needs to be understood. Others are employed. They need maybe to be given the guide allowance. This guide allowance goes for persons with visual impairment, not low vision, but total blind. Persons on wheelchair who need someone to push them. Persons who are hearing impaired, deaf. They need a guide. Maybe if it's a deaf, you need an interpreter. Your employer will need the disability card and a medical report for them to qualify you to get the guide allowance. Others may need other allocations or extension of working age from 60 years of retirement to 65 years. They'll need the disability card and a medical report.
Amoni Nixon, father to Roy Akala, hopes that this will enable him get the necessary aid so that his son can go to school.
Agenda shule sababu bado inatafutiwa hearing aid, of which kulikuwa na foundations zilikuwa zina offer at affordable price, but due to COVID, Staki foundation that was supposed to provide ilifunga. So currently we are trying to look for other sources. Yeah.
Eva Naputuni, the founder of Acorn Special Tutorials, also say that the registration will help in getting the right data for persons with disabilities and advise parents to ensure that their children are listed properly.
Your right as a parent with a child with special needs is to get your child registered. And don't agree to go get your child registered, and if your child has neurodiversity, that they will put your child has mental. You need to be very specific as to the condition of your child. If your child has neurodiversity, which includes autism, Down syndrome, ADHD, all those, make sure they're specific, because we need to collect the correct data. So if they're put under mental, I don't understand what mental is, and I don't know what mental is. So if your child has autism, insist that it's written there, autism, so that the card can reflect autism. If your child has Down syndrome, make sure it is indicated that your child has Down syndrome. There are names, many names to these conditions that we have, but one of them is not mental. Yes.
And to ensure that the data is always updated, the card is renewed after every 5 years.
During the time of acquiring a disability, maybe you had an accident, you are still recuperating. So the medics will advise you to first heal completely for them to assess you properly. The other thing, bipolar is a disability. And when you go for tax exemption vetting, it's not every case that must be vetted. If you are a person with physical impairment, we need the report from the medical report and the report from orthopedic technologist. If maybe your disability is as a result of polio from childhood, you don't need to go for vetting. It is enough. You need to keep on checking your email, the email you applied the KRA PIN with for your tax exemption to be sent there. Medical report lasts for 5 years. Tax exemption lasts for 5 years. If you still need it, you have to undergo the same process for renewal and for medical assessment. So they'll disqualify you at that point.
However, he says that they have a challenge in producing the cards on time due to backlog.
The card can take even 5 minutes for you to have it, or less. It's only that we are challenged somehow in our Nairobi County office. Maybe if we could get someone to buy us, or even county, the printing machine for cards, it's what we are lacking. So we have to apply at our Westlands office for them to print for us. They're already overwhelmed, since they're having a lot of people from every county also having the same request. So we have to be put on the queue, because they print on the policy of first come, first served. So if we place our request, other people are ahead of us from other counties. They have to be served first up to us, so it may take more than a month.
The advantage that parents who registered at Acorn Special tutorials have is that Eva will make a follow-up and isn't the burden of making trips to the county offices.
The joy of doing a registration like this is that parents will not need to be the ones to follow up on registration. It would be now me as Acorn who will be following up on the registration to ensure that everybody who came in today, through the National Council, we will be able to get their cards.
Naweza advise wazazi wengine wa accept watoto wao vile wako, and it's good to register them because as much as I know kuna so many helping as wasaidia in case of anything. Mtoto anaweza pata accident kama ana hiyo kadi anywhere, of which it's important.
It's been quite interesting, I must say. First and foremost, one of my children has one of the most rare conditions. It's called Turner syndrome. And we have probably 1 out of 10,000 children who have Turner syndrome. So it is just good that even the National Council gets to know and experience that this condition, we have it here in Kenya. So, and it was interesting seeing the medics' reaction to my student, because they're trying to figure it out. And now when you say, so you see now they've gone back and they have learned something. The other one is just sometimes it's just not getting the right information from the parent. Unfortunately, you can be taken round and round and round. But what I can tell parents is that it's for the benefit of their child. Today they're here, tomorrow they're not there. But if the child is registered with the National Council of Persons with Disability, at least they're in the system.
Let's take a short break, but we'll be right back with more, so don't go too far.
We're differently abled, differently. We're differently abled, differently.
Welcome back, and you're watching Abled Differently. Research has shown that women are subjected to social, cultural, and economic disadvantages, which makes it more difficult for them to participate in community activities and decision-making. Women and girls with disabilities face significantly more difficulties and double discrimination, which places them at a higher risk of experiencing gender-based violence, sexual abuse, just to mention a few. Let's get to hear what people have to say on this.
I don't agree. Simply because in African culture, or even when you go worldwide, men are responsible for taking care of the family, meaning they have to go out and seek. So no matter what or how you look like, if you are disabled, at the end of the day, you will have to go out and look for food, look for shelter, or more, look for sustainability of the family.
In general, I think that they may have, like as I said, no, I think it's an interaction. You have barriers for having disabilities, and then on top of that, you end their gender, and then that becomes even more difficult. No?
If a disabled woman is around and she can't protect herself, sometimes she's raped because she can't defend herself.
But by what we have seen, actually, even in the capital center, we have seen so many women maybe carrying their kids and carrying their children around the city. And even if you go where the congregation is, you find that the mother is too much concentrating with the baby who has disability, and I think they seem to understand them more than I would say men. Not that men are not concerned. I think men, their kind of attention is different for them. I think for them they might be focusing on the medical part of it and pushing if at all they can get better. But you find mothers are really concerned on the well-being of the baby, or rather the child. And I feel like women are more taking care of the children with disability more than the men.
Let's take a look at the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities.
Article 25 of the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities states that state parties shall, Part B, provide those health services needed by persons with disabilities, specifically because of their disabilities, including early identification and intervention as appropriate, and services designed to minimize and prevent further disabilities, including among children and older persons.
As the National Council for Persons with Disabilities embark on registration of persons with disabilities, do you know of some of the opportunities that awaits you once you get that disability card? Makatwa Musyoki, who's the Nairobi County Coordinator for Disability Services, takes us through services and projects that have been rolled out for persons with disabilities.
We have the cash transfer for persons with disabilities, which is run by the Social Assistance Unit at the Ministry of Labour and Social Protection. Now, at the Social Assistance Unit, we have the various cash transfers, like older persons cash transfer, orphans and vulnerable children cash transfer for persons with severe disabilities, and hunger safety net program. Now we are basically interested in the cash transfer for persons with severe disabilities, whereby right now we just finished recruitment of data clerks who are going to every sub-county to look for persons with severe disabilities who are enrolled in the cash transfer program but have not been receiving money. So in Nairobi there are 204 currently, of which if maybe you know from wherever you are enrolled in the program, it is good for you to come out and maybe reach your area chief and create contact, such that when our data clerks come to the ground and they'll be there for 3 months, they're able to trace you with ease. So people should come out, maybe give their contacts to the area chief, the name of the guardian, and maybe the beneficiary who was targeted. We even finance them in terms of revolving loan fund. Like for a county like Nairobi, everyone is busy doing their own things, their own small businesses. Life is very busy and very fast in Nairobi. So with the revolving loan fund, we just help to expand their small basket to be a big one, such that members can now borrow from that basket and pay back with a small interest rate. And it isn't their access to loan facilities, because when they go to banking facilities, they'll struggle a lot to get a loan. But by doing that, they have access to loan facility via the revolving loan fund. They are able to even be exposed to other people in their small self-help groups. We also started another program called Tools of Trade, TOT. This program is targeting persons with disabilities who have gone through TVETA institutions. These people have learned maybe saloon work, maybe carpentry, metalwork. So we give them these equipments. If it's saloon, we give you the equipments for saloon for you to do your own business. If it's metalwork, we give you the metalwork kit together with all the other requirements for the toolkit for metalwork for you to do your own business. If it's carpentry, the same. And other forms of trainings that you graduate with the government trade test. We also have things like assistive devices support. If maybe you're amputated on your arm, leg, we help you to have the artificial limbs. If you need crutches for walking, wheelchairs, walking sticks, maybe stuff like rehabilitation. Others have accident, they need, they are fitted with metal plates. These metal plates after some time become worn out, they need to replace it. They have to come to us because it is costly. Every disability is very expensive.
We've come to the end of the program for today, but be sure to join us next Sunday, same time, same place. I've been your host, Jane Theory. Goodbye.
We are here and we are strong. Let's be counted as we move on. Make a difference, change lives as we tell our different stories. We are capable, beautiful. We are born to do great things. We're unstoppable, incredible, 'cause we're differently abled, differently.